Hello, world. Yeah, I'm here again. How you doing? Uh, so, yeah, I'm trying to keep these things short, and I'm also trying to keep my mind in check too. But sometimes I feel like I just have to let it go as it comes to my head, and if I have time from the rest of my life to post a video, even though I know a lot of this stuff isn't getting anywhere, and some of it is getting somewhere. So somewhere is better than nowhere, I guess. I want to talk about taxes and how utterly ridiculous it's gotten. Now, I started working pretty young. I was always wanting to do stuff, and my my family always expected a little bit more. And if you wanted anything, you kind of had to do for yourself, anyways. And if you were hungry, you asked for food. And if you asked for food, you better have eaten everything on your plate that you asked for. And the funny thing was, when I was really young, I remember getting in trouble for not eating everything on my plate. And anybody that knows me knows that usually isn't a problem with me. And especially when I was young. But my mom would always say, there's a lot of people starving out there, so finish what you asked for. And I remember her always making our plate, or at least our first plate, especially when I was younger. And she used to buy frozen vegetables, and they were usually mixed vegetables because they were cheap. And she always tried to give us a balanced meal, and they always had lima beans in them. And still to this day, I can't stand lima beans. um, Maybe there are people out there that like them, but I don't understand it. But I always thought it was funny. I didn't ask for them, but I'm supposed to finish them like I did ask for them. And it was the process of saying that my mom worked hard for that food, even if it was terrible. And whether I liked it or not, I should be happy that I had food that I didn't like on my plate. And I always remember also that my mom never complained about taxes. At least not openly to us when we were kids. And while I knew there were taxes, I knew that if something set a price to something like that there would be taxes that made it even more when you actually went to buy something. And nowadays, after working a bunch of jobs before I even went in the military at 18, and paying those taxes and all those things like that. And even when I was just working on the farm, I don't even remember. Most of the time it was just under the table because, I mean, I was still living at home, so maybe that was wrong. But it was just, I was just a young kid and I just worked on the farm. So they paid me a salary, which not even really a salary, just paid me when I worked. And a lot of times I would jump from farm to farm, just baling hay in the summertime, and for local milk farmers. And whenever we had hay on the horse farm, I'd always help do hay. And whenever we needed hay for the horses, we'd always go buy it from somewhere and load it. and it was always us boys, just doing it like it was the best thing in the world. Like we got to work, and I remember sometimes doing crazy amount of work, 8 hours plus a day, and always having awesome food with my Aunt Lori. God bless her, man. She can cook. I mean, and she can bake, and sometimes we'd only get like, it was a big thing to get a Snapple iced tea, like, because we weren't allowed to drink soda and sweet things like that most of the time. If you wanted something to drink, you got to drink out of the water faucet outside. You didn't go inside and drink out of the sink. You didn't track all the mud and dirt and snow and everything else back and forth inside the house. And you just did that, and you never worried about anything else like that. And that was payment enough for me. And when I did start paying taxes in the military, I went through all the boot camp and all that stuff before I ever got my first check. And it was crazy to me that they were printing out checks like this. And then after A school and all the stuff like that, because it was literally, because you only got paid on the 1st and the 15th. And after taxes and everything like that, after all the work I would do, all the schooling I would do, all the watches I would stand when I wasn't in school or working or having fun, I was only pulling down like $400 every 2 weeks. And that didn't go far at all. And it seemed like every time I made another rank where I got busted down for drinking and doing something stupid, and they took money from me, half days, half months pay for 30 days, and yeah, it was crazy. And I'm still paying taxes on that because that was another thing too. And then the war happened, and they were like, "You're gonna get tax free on most things. You're still gonna pay Social Security and all that stuff like that." And at the end of the year, I still wouldn't have any money. So I was damned if I did and damned if I didn't. It was like I was getting tax free. I was working even more hours than I could even possibly imagine. And then at some points I was there, I really didn't have a day off for years on end, because everything is about the military, especially when you're at war. And said and done, I get all that. I get divorced again. I'm living on the floor of my friend's house. I'm living on the floor of my own house. Not even my own house, the house I was renting. I was paying all that, plus whatever little money I had for myself. Wasn't much at all. It was still like $200-300 a month because of my kids and my ex-wife, my separated wife at the time, got the rest. And my wife worked here and there and stuff like that at the time also on all this stuff, and she would use the money that I made to get more of a tax return back, because when I was away at war I didn't have to pay taxes. And then she would spend it all, or we would spend it all on stupid stuff, and I never saved any of that stuff. And now we got to a point where now I'm retired, and I get taxed federally for my retirement, but I don't get taxed for the state of Michigan. But I get taxed at a higher tax bracket because of my retirement. And just recently, I just got my 1099 from DFAS, Defense Financing, if anybody doesn't know what that is. And I got a raise on my retirement. I got an extra $37 this year, but I actually came after taxes, federal taxes. I only get an extra $9 and a pay period, which is once a month. And my disability seems to be going down because, and I'm not even really sure. And I'm at 80% disability, which really means nothing. They use the 80% and the 100% and all those things like that, because pretty much everybody either has 80 to 100%. But the only problem is that doesn't mean anything for the amount of money that you're going to get, which is fine. But they use that to tell the world that we're paying for all these injuries and mental traumas that I have occurred for fighting wars and doing what I've done in the military. And at the end of the day, because I don't pay state taxes on that, they still use my overall income with the retirement and disability as what they tax me for on what I make in my regular job, my non-retirement stuff. And it's pretty crazy because if I was to work 80 hours in 2 weeks, I make all right money, but I still make less than $2,000 at a job that I do. Well, I figure, and from what I can understand, I do extremely well. But I still, every 2 weeks, I make less than $1,600. And I'm a stonemason, and I work pretty damn hard. Not to mention that I do other work for my boss's stuff, because he owns 4 companies. And anyways, when it all comes down to it, I still make less than $60,000 a year, and I have a full retirement after 20 years of service. And I work a job that I make more the less I work. Because as soon as I go over 80 hours, it seems like they tax me double. So, and I don't think anybody really understands that. And I don't even think my boss really understands it. But I'm getting doubly taxed for something that the state says that they're willing not to take taxes out for me. And that's great. I'm glad. I mean, everything else is taxed. I pay tax on the gas that I use to go to work, and I can't even afford a car. So I can't, mostly because I can't afford insurance, not so that I can't afford a payment. And even on a used car, I just can't afford the insurance to cover a loan for even a used car. And so yeah, I get taxed for gas, I get taxed for the roads, I get taxed for salting the roads, but I don't get taxed from the state for my retirement, but I get taxed for everything else. And does anybody actually stop and look at what all these taxes are going for? And it's pretty darn frustrating when you work as hard as I do and you don't have all these other things, and you work a hard, honest job. And, I never went to college, but I'm not a stupid person. I've been told I'm stupid. I've been told I'm racist. I've been told all these other things. But I'm not stupid, and I know for sure I'm not lazy. I can be lazy at times just because it seems overwhelming that no matter how hard you work, and even if you work 160 hours in 2 weeks' time instead of 80, that you're going to make less because you worked harder for more. And that doesn't make any sense to me either. So what am I supposed to do? Well, guess what we all do is it's the law that I pay taxes to support everything else. I pay taxes on the roads. I pay taxes on the salt that goes on the roads in the wintertime. I pay taxes to fix the roads, to fix the bridges, I pay taxes for schools. I pay taxes on stuff that I win. If I was to win a lotto or anything like that, I have to pay taxes on that. And I used all that stuff. Like, to use the roads, I need a car. And I'll pay taxes on that loan, which will make it more than what the actual car is worth. And then I'll pay more taxes on top of that. And if I don't pay those things, I'll get them taken away, and then it'll affect my credit score. So then they'll give me a higher APR and a higher percentage rate. And if you all haven't realized, I've been trying to build my credit over the last bunch of years because I took a huge hit after I got out and moved here. And the funny thing is I had more money in California, which is 10 times more expensive to live than here in Michigan, but I'm still getting taxed like crazy. And who am I? I don't own my own house. I don't have a car. I use my son's car. I use my boss's car anymore. And the truck I did have was really badly broken, and I don't have even a garage at the house that I rent to fix it, even though I'm capable of doing it. And I'm saying, yeah, those are all excuses. They are excuses. I could figure it out. But at the same point, why should I have to figure it out? Why am I getting taxed so hard? Why are we all getting taxed so hard, but nothing is getting done? Crime is bad. Police, for the most part, are ridiculous. I mean, I see these cops all the time just sitting in places hidden, looking to give people tickets for going 10 miles over the speed limit or all these other things. And you pay taxes when you go get your registration, and you have to re-up your registration every year. It's like, why do I have to re-register my car if it's already registered? I can understand if I bought a new car to register it. I'm down with that. But why do I have to pay registration every year? And why do I have to go get my license renewed every couple of years? Because when I was in the military, as long as I had an expired driver's license, most of the places I went over around the world, they didn't give a fuck about my driver's license. But I gotta pay to take a test to prove that I need a driver's license for something that I already do. And I was an equipment operator, and I've operated thousands of different pieces of equipment and in hundreds of different countries, and passed their tests and all that stuff like that. And I get it. If we all want these things, we all have to come together to pay for them. I have no problem with that. But why am I paying so much more for everything that I have to work hard for? And I'm willing to work hard for. I'm willing to work hard for stuff, but it just doesn't make any sense to me. And I feel like I'm rambling now, and that sucks because it just makes me look stupid and weak, and I just want people to know that it's not black and white out there, you know? You see all these people on YouTube and everywhere on the news just sitting in the middle of streets blocking people from using their cars and everything like that. And then I'm just like, well, that sucks. I don't even have a fucking car to use. Um, and you see them with their phones and their nice clothes and they're sitting in the streets and everything like that. And I was like, most of these kids, you see, they're younger, they're college age kids, so their parents are paying for the taxes to have their cell phones. And how are they getting to all these places to protest these things? And it's not just America, it's everywhere. And they're protesting about all this oil and stuff like that. And we need to stop using oil, but we're burning more coal now than we ever had in the previous 1,000 years, and by a humongous majority more. We're burning more coal now, even though we have all these other things that we can use instead. And they tax the hell out of that too. I mean, I get a tax on gas, and we get taxed on the barrels that we bring into this country from other places. And we get taxed for all these programs in the military and everything like that. But nothing seems to be getting done. And if I stop paying my taxes, then I'm just a hypocrite and a piece of crap, and I'll get thrown in jail too. And I've always been a big supporter that I try not to do things under the table. But for the last 8 years, I also get a thing back from the Michigan taxes saying that I owe them more money in taxes. And usually to the thing of about $1,000 to $1,800 every year since I've been retired. They keep asking me for more taxes after they've given me a tax return, and usually I just use the tax return to pay for the bills that I couldn't pay for the crappy amount of money that I get now. And I apologize to my family and wife quite often for not being able to make more money for them. And it just seems strange to me that with all the stuff we're looking at in the world, people are just really unhappy about everything, and all we're doing is just taxing me. And by me, I mean the little guy. I understand why people want to live in the streets, because fuck, this sucks sometimes. And I just hope I bring a little bit more understanding and realize that just by buckling down and working harder isn't always the answer, because there's always somebody out there in government or something like that that wants a piece of that work hard attitude that you have done. And the thing that your mom has told you your whole life: work hard, save your money. And how do you save money if you just barely have enough to survive? And I have a little bit of money saved, but mostly it's just money I put away so my youngest son can maybe buy a car when he becomes a teenager, because it's insane. Even used cars are more expensive than brand new cars. I don't know. Somebody let me know. Maybe I'm just not doing something right. I'm not asking for a handout. I'm just asking for somebody to look at it, maybe explain to me how we make this better. And the only thing I could possibly think about is maybe getting into politics and trying to change these things. But there will be always somebody out there that doesn't want to work as hard as I do. I'm not saying not pay taxes. I'm just saying there's somebody out there that will use somebody that works hard for their life and their things, even if they're have a disability like I do. And we'll end up taking everything that you worked hard for anyways. And they don't really care about it, and all they want is more. So, yeah, I'm alive. I'm happy. I really am. You just get frustrated and run down sometimes, and I see why people are depressed, and I see why people live on the streets, and I see why people are always complaining about my rights and how I feel. And at the same point, they don't give a crap how I feel. And I care how they feel. But I really can't do anything about it because they're not going to work as hard as I am to take the money that I have and that I've worked for. And please, somebody try to understand it for me and comment, like, dislike, tell me I'm stupid. Something. I'm asking for anything out here, world. And may God bless us all. One love, one race under Him, the human race. For all you racists out there, have a good night. Don't forget, it's tax season again. See how much more money they can take out of me, and I haven't worked in months. Good night.